Hello everyone, welcome to CivilPrep. I am Krishna Gupta and this is a Prelims Prep initiative where we'll be discussing UPSC Civil Services exam prelims questions and we'll try to see how these PYQs, they are rooted in the PYQs, the previous year questions, and we'll try to analyze them. We'll try to see that how these questions can be solved. The questions will be covering that will be from 2025 to 2011, that is 15 years. Here we'll be trying to find out, for example, if in 2025 there is a question and it has certain roots in 2020, but it can also have another root in the year of 2017. But we can identify another root which can be in 2011. So thus, by this session, we will be able to analyze, understand, and predict that what questions and in what form they can come in 2026. So this program, it will be covered for geography, environment and ecology, and science and technology. Not only this, but the other subjects like history, polity, governance, economics, etc. They will be also covered in future. And guys, just wait for a few days. We'll be also starting CSAT programs under the banner of PrelimsPrep. Okay, that will be CSAT prep here. Now, moving to the next topic here. Civil prep. We are believing that we are transforming potentials into possibilities. Guys, you can join my YouTube channel by scanning this QR code, and you can join my Telegram group by this QR code, where we are actually having various kind of activities in the daily form. Now, the question we will discuss today, that will be the first on the part of geography, having a theme as temperature. So here we'll be looking at the question number 1 with reference to ocean mean temperature. Which of the following statements is or are correct? So statement 1 is ocean mean temperature is measured up to a depth of 26 degrees Celsius isotherm, which is 129 meters in the southwestern Indian Ocean during January to March. Now, when we look at this aspect here, we will see that this is equator, this is India, this is southwest of equator, and this is southeast of Indian Ocean. Okay, so we are talking about this part here. We will see that the 26 degrees Celsius isotherm, it is majorly found near the equatorial region. Okay, it is majorly found near the equatorial region. Here we will be seeing that in this particular year of 2019, so there was a paper published by Mr. Ali, Professor Ali. So he has given that the sea surface temperature, it is also measure of a temperature over the ocean surface, and there is ocean mean temperature. So this is another we can say tool which is measuring the temperature over the ocean surface. So over this too, he has specified, he has proved that ocean mean temperature is a better way for the prediction of monsoon over the Indian region. So here we see that he has taken a depth up to 59 meters, and the total variation, it is taking place from 50 to 100 meters. So it is not going below 50 meters, it is not going beyond 100 meters. So we see that this particular 129 meters, it is not the correct option here. Therefore, statement 1, it becomes an incorrect statement. Now, in statement 2, OMT collected during January, March can be used in assessing whether of the amount of rainfall in monsoon will be less or more than a certain long-term mean. So yes, this will do here for the assessment of monsoon. So guys, we see that the statement 2 is correct statement. Therefore, we see that A is wrong and B2 only is the correct answer for this question. Now, looking at this aspect here, we can see the temperature as another aspect which can be correlated with the 2024 question. Here, statement 1 is specifying the temperature contrast between continents and oceans is greater during summer than in winter. Okay, here we'll be seeing that during summer and during winter, This is ocean and this is continent. Here we'll be seeing that during the summer and during winter, the land is more warmer and comparatively the ocean is more cooler. But the temperature over the land, it is around 30 degrees Celsius average. While when we look at the land during the winter season, it is around minus 10 degrees Celsius or it can be 0 degrees Celsius. While the temperature over the oceans, it can range from 27 to 21 degrees Celsius. So there is not a very vast change over the temperature. But when we compare this 30 degrees Celsius and minus 10 degrees Celsius with the 27 to 21 degrees Celsius, this becomes quite vast during the winter season. So therefore, this statement 1 is a correct statement. Now, statement 2, the specific heat of water is more than that of the land surface. Yes, specific heat is basically the measure of the capacity. You might have heard about the capacitor which is fitted in the various electronic appliances. So here we see that the greater the attribute of capacitor, the amount of energy stored inside it is more. So we can see that water, it is a high capacitive, we can say material, while the land, it is a low capacity material here. Therefore, we see that there is a specific contrast. So therefore, statement 2 is also correct. And yes, statement 2 is the correct explanation of statement 1. So we can see both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct statement. And statement 2 is the correct explanation for statement 1. Therefore, option A is the correct answer for this question. Now, when we look at the next question here, we see without the atmosphere, temperature would be well below freezing point everywhere on the Earth's surface. Now, these are conditional statements which we see that what will happen when there are certain limits are applied. So here the limits is taken in the form of temperature. Okay, so under temperature, we see that when the atmosphere is removed. So if the atmosphere is completely removed, it can be, yes, it can be done by various processes. Like if there is a geomagnetic storm, so therefore it can remove the atmosphere of Earth. It can make the magnetosphere very weak and the atmosphere can be ripped off. But here we will see that as the atmosphere is ripped off, the boiling point of water over the oceans, it will increase and it will start to vaporize. Because here the pressure, it will be almost zero. Because whatever the pressure we feel here, it is because of the presence of the atmosphere. That is 1 atm. Now here as it vaporizes, all the water will be removed. So therefore, we'll be seeing that there will be certain increase in temperature over the surface. But over the time period, what will happen? As the water will come out, there will be a drop in temperature. So there will be freezing over the surface. But there will be two conditions. Under one condition, the sun, if it is on this side, okay? So the face of Earth, which is facing the sun, it will be having temperature of around 150 degrees Celsius. And the temperature when the side of Earth, which is away from the Earth, from the sun surface, it will be minus 150 degrees Celsius. So this will be the contrast which will be seen over the Earth's surface. And this extreme temperature, that is plus 150 to minus 150, this is basically maintained by the heat budget of Earth in the form of heat budget, but this is actually maintained by the atmosphere. Atmosphere is acting as a cushion here. So we will see that no, the temperature will not be below the freezing point everywhere on the Earth. So this statement is an incorrect statement. Next statement. Heat absorbed and trapped by the atmosphere maintains our planet's average temperature. Yes, we can see this here. This is acting as a kind of a buffer zone. Atmosphere's gases like carbon dioxide are particularly good at absorbing and trapping radiation. Yes, this is the correct statement here because CO2 and other gases, they actually absorb the terrestrial radiation or long wavelength radiation. And this helps in the maintaining of the temperature of the Earth. So this is absorbed by the by this CO2 and other gases here. So yes, this statement is correct statement here. So what we see here that the correct answer for this question is 2 and 3 only. So this is the statement D, which is 2 and 3 only is the correct answer for this question. So guys, this was a geographical topic for the theme temperature. Now moving to the next topic here. Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So here we can see that a certain number of questions have been asked in 2017, another in 2017, and then in 2020. There are a lot number of questions which have also been asked, but yes, we'll be discussing them later. So first question here we see that in India, if a species of tortoise is declared protected under Schedule 1. Now remember that Schedule 1, there is a changes in the schedule after 2024. There are only 4 schedules. And the Schedule 5 and Schedule 6, they have been removed in the contemporary time. But yes, they have been adjusted. They have been not completely removed, but they have been adjusted in Schedule 1, Schedule 2, and Schedule 3 and Schedule 4. But yes, there is no presence of Schedule 4 and Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 in the contemporary time. Now, looking at the question, Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, it enjoys the same level of protection as tiger. Yes, this is a correct statement because tiger is one of the species which is protected under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Now, looking at the second question, it no longer exists in the wild. A few individuals are under captive protection and now it is impossible to prevent its extinction. Now, we'll look at this statement. There is a kind of protection which is given to it, but the extinction in wild or extinction in captive breeding, this is not provided in the Schedule 1. So this is not a correct statement. It is endemic to a particular region of India. Now this is specified by hotspot. Endemism, it is specified by the hotspot in this particular region. So no, this is also not a correct answer here. And D, it is specifying the above two conditions. Not correct here. Same. Wildlife Protection Act, it can be traced in 2017. Second question. According to the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, which of the following animals cannot be hunted by any person under any except under some provisions provided by the law? Now, when we look at this particular law here, there were certain provisions were provided under Schedule 5 previously, Schedule 5 and Schedule 4 previously. So those species were specified as the vermin species, okay, or the vermins. These vermins, they have been removed from this Wildlife Protection Act and they will be specified by the central government from 2024. So this has also been taken into the consideration. Now, Gharial, Indian wild ass and wild buffalo, all of them, they are considered as vermins in certain regions. Okay. For example, Indian wild ass, it is considered as a vermin in Gujarat. Wild buffalo in Chhattisgarh, we can say in Madhya Pradesh also. Okay. And Gharial, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, and Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Okay, also West Bengal. Okay, so here we see that D, 1, 2, 3, all of them, they are considered as a part of the Schedule 4 as a part of the vermin. Okay, so they can be killed under certain uh, circumstances. Now, tracing this back to 2020 question, okay, under the Schedule 4. So here we can see that there is a presence of Schedule 1 and there is a presence of Schedule 6 basically, not 4. So here, if a particular plant species is placed under Schedule 6 of the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, what is its implication? So whenever a plant is placed under the Schedule 6, there is a license required to cultivate that particular plant. So we see here that statement 1 is the correct answer. It cannot be cultivated under any circumstances. This is not a correct statement. It is genetically modified. It is not covered under the Wildlife Protection Act, but it is covered under the Environmental Protection Act. So you have to take this into consideration. You have to remember this part, that where it is covered. Then such plant is invasive and it is harmful to the ecosystem. No, this is also not a correct statement here. So we see that for this particular answer here. A is the correct answer. And yes, we can trace a lot of roots in this particular question for the environment and ecology, having Wildlife Protection Act 1972 as the core theme. Okay, moving to the next question. So here we have next question where we find a lot of roots here in 2021, in 2012, in 2020, and also in 2020. So here we see that certain diseases like mitochondrial diseases, okay, this is one keyword. Then in vitro fertilization of eggs, this is another keyword. Then stem cells, this is another keyword here. Then here we see that pro-nuclear technology. Then here we can see in vitro fertilization. Then here we can see that we have genetic changes in the cells that produce exosperms. Then we have the person's genome editing before the birth. Then pluripotent stem cells into the embryo of the pig. Okay. Now these are certain key terms which we can see here, and we can, yes, we can see that how they are been linked with the questions which have been asked previously. So starting with the question of 2021, here we see that there is a hereditary disease and we need to consider the following statements. So passing on mitochondrial diseases from parent to child can be prevented by mitochondrial replacement therapy either before or after in vitro fertilization of egg. This is a correct statement because mitochondrial disease will be saying that there is a particular RNA which is present inside the women's ovum, but this is absent inside the sperm of the male. So here we can trace. Here we can trace this particular. Just give me a second. Here we can trace this particular. mRNA, which is coming from the mother, and we can remove it and replace it for the diseases which are hereditary in nature. Okay, so we see that a child inherits mitochondrial disease entirely from mother and not from father. This is also correct statement, and this is also correct statement here. So we see that both 1 and 2 is the correct answer for this question. When we try to trace it with 2020 question, here we have nuclear transfer technology, and here we have certain genetic changes in the sperms on or eggs here. So here we see that in the context of recent advances of human reproductive technology, pro-nuclear transfer is basically the ovum of a particular one mother, then ovum of a particular one mother, and there is a sperm of a person. So here there will be fertilization. The particular mitochondria, it will be removed from the fertilization part here, and it will be replaced from the mother one. Okay, and here we'll be seeing that the hereditary diseases which are explained here, they can be removed and they can be overcome here. Now, fertilization of egg in vitro by the donor sperm, genetic modification of sperm producing cells, development of stem cells into functional embryos, prevention of mitochondrial diseases in offspring. So we see that option D is the correct answer for this question, which is a pro-nuclear transfer technology. Now, looking at the question of 2020, another question of 2020, genetic changes can be introduced in the cells that produce exosperms of a prospective parent. This is a correct statement. A person's genome can be edited before birth at the early embryonic stage. Yes, this is also correct. Human-induced pluripotent stem cells can be injected into the embryo of a pig. Now, pluripotent stem cells are the cells which can be taken from one animal to another animal. Okay, they have certain genetic similarities So they can be 99.96, 99.92% of similarity. So they can be used from one type of animal or one species of animal to another species of animal. So here we see that all these questions, they are the correct answer for this question here. That is D 1 to 3. Now, moving to the question of 2012. Here we see that with reference to the stem cells, okay, here we can see that the same kind of stem cells, they are also specified in 2020 question. Frequently in news, which of the following statements are correct here? Stem cells can be derived from mammals only. Okay, so this is one statement. Stem cells can be used for screening new drugs. Stem cells can be used for medical therapies. Now, mammals only, when we see here that this is not a correct statement here. Stem cells can be used for screening new drugs. Yes, this is correct option. And it can be used for the medical therapies. So here we see that B option 2 and 3 is the correct answer for this question. So yes, here we can see that the mitochondrial diseases, the stem cell technology, and the in vitro fertilization and the we can say the various genetic changes which can be done on this particular aspects can be discussed here. So guys, here we see that this is one of the topic which is quite important, and here we can trace the roots. I would like you to join my YouTube channel and comment that how did you like this particular video? What do you want more in this particular initiative and program? So guys, see you in the next session. Okay, all the best and take care.